Welcome back everyone in this SQL for data science tutorial for absolute beginners. So far we have learned a lot of things in this playlist. If you are not following this playlist from start, I highly suggest that you watch the tutorial videos in sequence in order to avoid any kind of misunderstanding or confusion. Now before we proceed ahead in this tutorial playlist, and we learn how to create tables and then how to insert, update or delete records and how to drop a table, it is very important that we learn about constraints. So today's agenda is to give you a high level overview on constraints. I am not expecting you to have a very strong grip on the concept of constraints only within this video, because this is going to be a very short theory lecture on constraints, and once we go ahead and we will learn how to create tables and how do we alter, insert or delete record, over there the idea of constraints will be absolutely clear to you. So within this lecture, the constraints I have covered are one of the most frequently used constraints. There are other constraints as well, but these are one of those that you will use in most of the times. So just as a high level overview, constraints are nothing but some predefined rules. Before creating any particular table, you try to define that what type of data any user can enter while updating or inserting a new record within a table. So you can define if you are expecting a column to be the index column, or if you want it to be not null. Also, you define if you want all the values within a particular column to be absolutely unique and you want to avoid any duplication. So let's start understanding one by one. In this playlist, I have already covered primary key and foreign key. So if you have not watched that video and if you don't have any idea on these two topics, then I highly suggest you to watch the video, which should be coming as a card on somewhere on your screen, or you will find a link below in the description box. Not null is a constraint where you are trying to define that within a particular column, while inserting a record or updating a record, the user cannot leave the column value as blank or null. Otherwise, the update will be rejected. Unique constraint defines that all the values within a given column has to be absolutely unique and we want to avoid any duplicate values. Check constraint helps us to validate a value within a particular column depending upon a specified condition. Only going by the theory, it is not possible to have an in-depth understanding on any particular topic. So we are going to cover the use case of constraints in the lecture, where we will learn how to create tables and how to insert or update records within a new table. In order to learn more about constraints, you can go on your browser and search in Google constraints in SQL. On the top itself, you will get a definition of constraints, which will be very much self-explanatory. And I highly suggest you check out this article on W3 School site. On this W3 School page, which is by the way a very good resource in order to learn and practice SQL, there is a very brief and helpful explanation given on SQL constraints. And over here as well, they have covered the most frequently used SQL constraints over here. So that's all for this lecture. Now we will move ahead and we will learn how to create tables and learn to play around with it so that we can have a more understanding on the idea of constraints. Thank you very much.